Welcome to English Mindset. The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town. It had been empty for years and no one dared to go near it. The locals said it was haunted and that anyone who went inside would never come out again. One night, a group of teenagers decided to explore the house. They were all bored and looking for a thrill, and they didn't believe the rumors about the house being haunted. They snuck onto the property and made their way to the front door. It was unlocked, and they stepped inside. The house was dark and dusty, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. The teenagers wandered through the rooms, their hearts pounding in their chests. They could hear strange noises all around them, but they couldn't see anything. Suddenly, they heard a loud crash coming from the basement. They turned and ran, but they didn't get far. The door to the basement slammed shut behind them, and they were trapped. The teenagers screamed and pounded on the door, but no one could hear them. They were all alone, and they knew that something terrible was about to happen. In the darkness, they could see the shadows of something moving. It was coming closer, and they could feel the fear rising in their throats. The creature emerged from the shadows, and the teenagers screamed in terror. It was tall and thin, with long, sharp claws. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness, and its teeth were bared in a snarl. The creature lunged at the teenagers, and they fought back with everything they had. But it was too strong, and it quickly overpowered them. One by one, the teenagers were dragged away into the darkness. Their screams echoed through the empty house, and then there was silence. The next morning, the police found the teenagers' bodies in the basement. They had been brutally mutilated, and their throats had been torn out. The police searched the house, but they couldn't find any sign of the creature. It had vanished into the night, taking the teenagers' souls with it. The house on the hill is still empty today. No one dares to go near it, for fear of the creature that lives within. Part 2. The Thing in the Woods. The old cabin in the woods had been in my family for generations. It was a place where I had spent many happy summers as a child, playing in the forest, swimming in the lake, and roasting marshmallows over the campfire. But as I got older, I started to hear stories about the cabin, stories about strange noises that were heard at night, and about the feeling of being watched, stories that made me shiver, even though I didn't believe them. One summer, when I was 16 years old, I decided to go back to the cabin alone. I wanted to see for myself if the stories were true. I arrived at the cabin late at night. The moon was full, and the forest was eerily quiet. I got out of my car and took a deep breath of the fresh air. I went inside the cabin and lit a fire. Then I sat down in a chair and stared out the window at the forest. The night was still and silent. I could hear the occasional sound of an owl hooting in the distance. I started to relax. Maybe the stories were just stories after all. But then I heard a noise. It was a soft noise, like something moving in the bushes. I froze. My heart started to race. I listened intently. The noise came again. It was closer this time. I stood up and slowly walked to the window. I peered out into the darkness, but I couldn't see anything. I took a deep breath and turned away from the window. I didn't want to see whatever was out there. I sat back down in the chair and tried to calm down. But I couldn't stop thinking about the noise. What was it? Was it an animal or something else? I didn't know, but I was starting to get scared. I decided to go to bed. I figured if I could just sleep, I would forget about the noise and everything would be okay. I went upstairs and got into bed. I lay there for a long time trying to fall asleep, but I couldn't stop thinking about the noise. Finally, I drifted off to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night. I was sweating and my heart was racing. I had a dream. In the dream, I was standing in the forest. The moon was full and the trees were casting long shadows. I heard the noise again. It was closer this time. I turned around and saw a figure standing in the shadows. The figure was tall and thin. It was wearing a black cloak that billowed in the wind. I couldn't see its face, but I knew it was watching me. I screamed and woke up. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding. I looked around the room, but there was nothing there. I took a deep breath and tried to calm down. It was just a dream, I told myself. But I knew it wasn't just a dream. The thing in the woods was real. I got out of bed and went to the window. I looked out into the darkness, but I couldn't see anything. I knew it was out there, though, waiting for me. I closed the curtains and went back to bed. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept having nightmares about the thing in the woods. The next morning, I packed my things and left the cabin. I never went back. I still don't know what the thing in the woods was, but I know it was real, and I know that it's out there somewhere, waiting.